Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
You know, it is February, but summer is not that far away, right?
It's true.
Although it didn't feel like it this morning when I was sliding on the ice outside.
Happy, what is it? Full spring in the Midwest? Is that where we are in those memes?
It's not quite spring. But summer's not that far away. And I want to share with you something that happens in the summer, typically every 3 years. But this year, it's 4 years away. We're talking about the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod Convention. Joining us today, the Reverend Dr. John Sias, Secretary of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. Dr. Sias, thanks for being our guest this morning.
Good morning. My pleasure.
So the LCMS Convention takes place, the Synodical Convention takes place typically every 3 years. I know it hasn't always been like that, but for, the last several decades, it's been like that.
Since 1983, they changed it to 3 years from 2, actually.
Oh.
Okay.
And it's bounced around a little bit over time.
So we've been in this 3-year triennium cycle for a while, but things changed up in 2020.
We have the forennium, or the Jubilee year of the triennium with a little delay for COVID.
I like that. Jubilee year.
Quadrennium, I suppose.
Quadrennium.
Yes,
So when is the next LCMS convention?
The next LCMS convention is presently scheduled to open on July 29th in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, of 2023, not 22.
Aha. So we're like a year out.
Yeah.
We are, at least
a year, over a year out.
We just sent out the 18-month notices again for the nominations that are supposed to be coming in until this October, the end of this October.
Right.
Do you add like Deo Volente, Lord willing, to everything that you send out now, just because our schedules have been changing so much?
We've added a lot of flexibility language into things, but at this point we're on the rails again and very hopeful. Districts are having their conventions successfully, and so hopefully we're on the move toward not making this a 5-year or 6-year triennium.
So what happens at a regular convention of the Synod?
Well, our Synod is kind of unique among church bodies in that it's governed by congregations that are simply voluntary members. They don't owe us anything. If they don't care for the Synod, they can leave. So the convention is their opportunity to govern the Synod and all the pieces of the Synod, the agencies, the districts, and other things that the Synod has built together, so that it all operates together for them and as an extension of their own ministry.
So who participates? Who attends at LCMS convention, and what is their role? What do they do? I'm sure there are many different people.
Right. Yeah. So the two main groups include the voting delegates, which represent 550 or so electoral circuits. The congregations of the Synod are divided into circuits of roughly 7 to 20 congregations apiece. And each one of those circuits finds and sends one pastor and one lay delegate to the convention. And they are voting delegates. And then there are a host of advisory delegates. So there's about 1,100 voters and maybe 400 advisory delegates and representatives representing the individual commission ministers and ordained ministers that aren't pastors of congregations presently, and also representing all the other agencies of the Synod. So they come together and receive the nominations that have come in. They receive the overtures, requests for convention action that have come in from congregations and other places, and through a variety of committees and publications, turn those things into the resolutions and the ballots that will go to convention for further processing and then ultimately adoption or otherwise.
So just off the top of your head, what's an example of something that typically would be accomplished or that might happen? Like, what's a resolution look like, and
right.
What impact does that have from a convention?
Right. So resolutions can adjust the governing documents of the Synod if there are changes to the bylaws or even the constitution of the Synod that are desired to make things function more smoothly or better. Those things can really only be adjusted at the convention. The convention sets triennial priorities for the Synod. The congregations through their circuits and districts are to evaluate how things are going, how the district and Synod are functioning and serving the congregations, and can submit suggestions for improvement or change in what Synod is focusing on for the next 3 years. So those are kind of key resolutions that come through. And the convention speaks to a host of other issues. If there are theological issues or societal issues, life issues that need to be spoken to in a new or more direct way, the convention handles that too.
What are some, is there an example or two of something that may be familiar from last convention that's now in place because it was voted on at the last convention? I know I'm like totally throwing this to you right now.
Putting you on the spot, not at all.
Right. Well, one of the significant things that was begun at last convention is a look at all our colleges and universities and their governance.
Yeah.
The 2019 Resolution 703 committee has been working with a lot of people to come up with, this seems kind of cyclical, but an overture to come to this convention and hopefully provide a model for governance of our colleges and universities that will serve well into the future. So often the work that's initiated at one convention takes more than a convention to finish.
Sure. Of course, yeah. Are there things specifically that will be happening at this convention? You mentioned nominations. What are those types of things that we're looking forward to at this coming convention?
Sure. Well, all the host of officers, board and commission positions that help to govern the Synod and specific tasks in the Synod between conventions, many of those are up for election at this convention if they're on triennial cycles. My office is one of those. And, of course, president, vice presidents of the Synod will be up for election as well. So we're presently receiving nominations for basically everybody but the president and vice presidents. And any lay member of an LCMS congregation can go to the Synod website, get the forms, read the information, and submit a nomination for someone they think would serve well as Secretary of the Synod, on the board of directors of the Synod, for the board for national or international mission in one of the regions of the Synod, or a board of regents, a board of directors of one of our Synod-wide corporate entities. So there's a great opportunity and a great need for people out there in the Synod to help us find the talent, the dedication, the churchmanship that we need to serve in those positions.
What's the coolest thing about being the secretary of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod?
I actually enjoy, and this is kind of strange and interrupts the course of my workday, but the random calls that get routed to me here at the International Center. I seem to be the lost mailbox of the Synod administration. If they don't know where to send them, they go to the secretary.
That seems like a good one for Secretary Sias.
Yeah. He knows everything.
But I truly do enjoy talking to people out in the Synod, and I was just down to a Mid-South district to help with some circuit visitor training. District president invited me down there, and getting out and interacting with the people out of the rarefied atmosphere of my bylaws and policy manuals and the stuff that I work on from day to day is really a lot of fun. Seeing where the rubber hits the road and that it actually does people some good.
So it really takes a combination of a unique skill set, like a set of skills and personality to do what you get to do every day.
And a padded room some days. So.
I mean, you're talking with someone sharp when they reference resolutions by the number. Yeah, right off the top of their head. Yeah.
Occupational hazard.
So what's next? What do we need to do to prepare for convention? What should listeners what should they be looking for in their inbox in the coming weeks, months ahead?
So because we've had the Jubilee year of the triennium, we've spent some time revising how we go about some things. And folks are probably used to receiving the It's Time postcards. This office used to send out to each congregation a series of 12 or 14 postcards through the course of the triennium. And postcards aren't what they used to be in terms of reaching people. So we're moving toward reaching pastors and lay leaders of congregations by email, and then reworking the whole web interface for congregations, to have a new portal where they can go and find all the information laid out to schedule their meetings, make their decisions, file their material, a lot more of it electronically today than has been the case in the past, so that they can participate fully in their conventions. And so that, don't go and look for it just yet, but I'm working on that. In fact, today, some drafts of that material, and we'll have some mailings to the congregations to introduce that as well.
Fantastic. So where, if people are interested in all of this stuff we're talking about, where can people find information about the convention, what happens, what they want to know, if they want to get more involved in all of this process?
Right. So all conventional things live at lcms.org/convention. And as I said, there will be some new features coming to that in the coming weeks.
So give it a couple of weeks, and then just check out lcms.org/convention every week or so, every other week or so, and look for the updates, right?
Well, we don't necessarily put updates up there that frequently, but there will be material there, and hopefully some nice things for folks to engage with in some depth, to see. Our hope is to have one place where you can go and find the tendrils that lead you to everything you might want to know about submitting overtures, sending nominations, what offices do, what's been done in the past, how do I participate in making it better.
Very good. Now, you mentioned we're doing nominations for everything but president at this point. When does that happen?
Right. That process starts in October, at the end of October this year, when the other nomination period closes. That window opens.
Very good. Very good. LCMS.org/convention. Check it out in a couple of weeks. Our guest today, the Reverend Dr. John Sias, Secretary of the Lutheran Church, Missouri Synod. Dr. Sias, thanks so much for being our guest.
Thank you. It's always fun.
You've been listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@KFUO.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.